The Prestige by Natasha Tremblay. The terms they use were vindictive, revengeful, wanting to get back at someone. Andrew is revengeful of Borden for killing his wife, both wanting to get back at each other, rival magicians throughout the movie. Quizzical, questioning, eccentric, odd, amusing. Andrew wondering how Borden did his trick. The audience questionable of the two magicians, amusing how they go back and forth. Patronizing, looking down on others, acting superior. Both magicians look down at the other and thinking they're more superior. The image I chose was image number 7, Rivalry. It had long shot, flat angle, Borden having the power, and the flat angle being in line with Borden. Slight bow, giving a twist, showing another side of Borden. Both, there's a combination of high and low lighting. Our eyes are attracted to Andrew hanging tied up in the ropes, and then our eyes travel to Borden walking out of the theater and gaining the power. Composed slightly vertical, fuzzy, the texture is foggy. Borden has loose framing, he can walk around while Andrew cannot, which giving him tight framing. Texture stark, detail roams around. Deep, the spotlight is only on Borden and Andrew. It is a show. It has blue tint, black tint, gray fog tint. Non-linear structure. They start off showing us Borden being charged for Andrew's death in the beginning of the movie. And then they go back to the past with the two magicians being rivalries throughout the whole movie and trying to ruin each other's careers. Kept flashing back from present to past. The 3 parts. Borden having a double the whole time, which being Fallon, with Andrew's trick making a copy plus transporting him. Andrew was always killing a copy of him and a new one would come back. With Andrew supposedly being dead and to disappearing to him being Lord Calvo, in which he came back, as well as Borden being hung to disappearing to finding Andrew and killing him. Perspective. My honest opinion is we learn about both through each other. We are meant to sympathize with Andrew after they show us he is dead, and then they go back to the past, which Andrew lost Julia, his wife. Through the obsession of finding Borden's trick, we learn about Borden. We find out most information when we're around Andrew. We learn about Borden over time. Possibility. Andrew is revengeful for Julia's death. Borden wants to stop Andrew from having a career. Andrew just wants to be the better magician and have the better tricks. Later, Andrew framing Borden for his own death. Andrew's motivations, with him not being able to be the better magician, he becomes his real identity, Lord Caldwell, the whole time. With Borden having a double to perform his trick, Andrew setting up his whole plan to ruin Borden's life and taking the one thing that's most important to Borden, his daughter Jess. Borden is middle class and Andrew is a wealthy aristocrat. We learn through each of them who the other really is. That Borden is a working class magician and that Andrew is a wealthy aristocrat magician, taking on new identities, learning their rivalry for each other and new tricks, how the prestige affects both their lives, far more intended and in the long run. My choices if I were Borden. As Borden, I would first off tell Sarah the truth about Fallon, the double, in which they were sharing lives for each other. I would never have jeopardized the knot with Julia in the past. I personally would have done what they normally did. I would have left Andrew to himself and not intended to ruin his career, but magicians are magicians wanting the spotlight. I would just live my own life. Borden not being hung when it was his double, and he was trying to protect his little girl, is understandable. When Andrew let Borden take the blame for his death, I would have killed him in the end as well. Irony. The secret of Andrew's trick compared to what it really was. The audience believing Borden was hung and that Andrew was killed to see them come back and meet at the end. With Borden being framed for killing Andrew in the first place to find him that he get killed in the end. What I think the film was successful and the plot was a good setup, with how they started the film in the present and going back and forth of the magicians as rivals and showing their past back to the present, and the end of the film was needed to show and describe the film. Non-linear structure was a good way to go about this movie. The characters were rival magicians, one full of revenge with motivation. Both characters were believable from the start when they were shown to the very end. The score out of 10 I would give this film is an 8 out of 10. The reason behind that would be it was a creative and interesting film that kept you on the edge of your seat to find out what's going to happen next. The film kept you intrigued all the way till the very end. The film also had an interesting storyline.